Tax season's here, and if you do your own taxes, chances are you use probably one of these softwares. Or if you perform taxes for other people, you probably use one of these softwares. And see, tax software is great because it does all the mundane calculations for us. So I can rest assured that I'm not going to put the answer 3 down if the question says, hey, what's 1 plus 1? Sometimes software gets it wrong. So for example, TurboTax and FreeTax USA consistently omit a potential credit available to Indiana residents that could save them potentially a couple hundred, if not a couple thousands of dollars. And again, this is per year, so extrapolate this among multiple years, and that's a lot of money that's been left on the table. And I can't ignore the professional software down here because sometimes they get it wrong. You see, all of these softwares and more have to consistently be updated on all the federal law changes. So as soon as a law changes, some of these softwares have to essentially be updated immediately in order to, again, make sure that those softwares are up to date. But keep in mind, that's just the federal side of things. Most states have their own tax law, and some of those states have additional local and municipality laws that are completely different. So all of these softwares not only have to be updated on the federal tax side of things, but all of the state and local tax side of things. And sometimes they get missed. Now, one thing that's nice about professional software is it usually gives us the ability to override mistakes that we know is present. So if we see an error that we know needs to be corrected, we can usually override it and make sure that the return that's going to be generated is actually correct. But see, that's a privilege that's not usually available for DIYs because, again, at that point, you pretty much just have to take whatever the software tells you and assume that it's accurate. One thing that you can do as a potential DIY taxpayer is maybe every now and then just reach out to a local CPA or enrolled agent and see if they'll sit down with you and go over your return, explain what's going on and what to look out for. Because, again, I stress local because they're the one inherently that's going to know more about the ins and outs of the state and local taxes, which very well could have been omitted from, again, whatever your software told you. As a side note, if you come across a tax pro that says, hey, I'm an expert in U.S. tax and I can perform any state tax that, has an income tax and whatnot, just know that sounds kind of like a red flag because, yeah, even though our tax software allows us to perform returns in any state and whatnot, that doesn't necessarily mean that we're experts in it because at that point, we're probably just taking whatever the results are that the software spits out at face value. There may be some hidden ins and outs that we don't know of. So again, going back to what I just mentioned a little bit ago about talking to a local professional because they're the ones that are going to know much more than, again, someone who just claims to know every state. Now, that doesn't mean that there are going to be people out there that are gurus and that know everything, but chances are, no, they're just saying that they can do that state because their software allows it, not because they necessarily know it. At the end of the day, just understand that whatever tax software you use, make sure that you are in charge of it and you know what's going on and not the other way around.